everyone, Harriet here. Hope you're doing okay. Today I am with my friend Stuart. That way, there we go. Still learning Discord. And we're going to be talking about the Masters of the Universe Revelation series that's coming up on Netflix next month. So we're just going to be talking about the trailer, the cast, and bits and pieces in between. So, first of all, I mean, obviously you're a He-Man fan as well, so I'm guessing you watched it back in the day, back in the 80s, the 90s?
Yeah, I'm going to show you my age. I was young. I was literally the age of He-Man when it got, not the age of He-Man. I was like a toddler when that came out. So I was at the age where they were aiming for, the target market in the 80s. So I was all in. I mean, yeah, as a child, I was like, Mummy, I want He-Man figures. Mummy, I want He-Man. Everyone at school's got He-Man figures. You can have Skeletor. No, it must be He-Man figures. I don't want it. So yeah, I was all in that stuff. I loved it. So yeah, I remember the first time, and then kind of my association with it continued throughout its various incarnations through like the 90s, then the early 2000s, and the comics and everything. So I've been collecting comics for a while now, so I haven't read much of the DC stuff, but certainly some of the Dark Horse stuff before that. I think it was Dark Horse, I want to say it was, they did.
I
Um,
think... I know I've read the DC stuff.
yeah, I'm trying to think, was it Dark? Yeah, it was Dark Horse. So yeah, around about the Dark Horse stuff I was a fan of, and some of the Image stuff. So I read a fair bit of both of those. So yeah, you might say I'm a He-Man fan, you might not.
I think a lot of people, because when I did my reaction videos, a lot of people have said, "Oh, you're a girl and you like He-Man." It's like, well, yeah. I mean,
It had some interesting. I mean, you had like Teela in it as well, who wasn't in that time. It kind of thing was kind of a positive female role model. I mean, the Sorceress, I guess, as well. The early one was
yes,
very kind of strong-willed anyway. And even He-Man's mother at the time, well, not He-Man, Prince Adam's mum, the Queen, she was fairly kind of like, she stood up to Randor a little bit, I seem to remember.
yeah, definitely.
Or in the later incarnations, I think, but it was, yeah. So yeah, do you get that with a lot of stuff, though, don't you? I think a lot
Yeah,
of people are like, oh, I'm surprised you're there.
wrestling. That's another...
Oh God, yeah,
That was back in
yeah.
the day.
That's
Oh, I have stories to tell of that. But ooh, things are falling. That's great.
yeah. So yeah, you could just yeah. I think about it. You could say I'm a He-Man fan to a degree, definitely.
Oh.
Even the Dolph Lundgren film.
I will admit, I do have a soft spot for that movie.
Courtney Cox as well is also, I'm forgetting his name now. The guy who plays, he's in the Voyager as well.
Oh,
But yes. So you've got that as well. So you've got all of these kind of like, and the cast itself is just bad. It's just bad. If you see the documentaries about behind the scenes on the film, it just kind of, I don't know. I think they just had so many problems with it, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
yeah.
And then of course there's a He-Man and She-Ra Secrets of the Sword as well, which is just it's one of my I loved that as a film as a child, and I was like, oh my God, loved it. Can't go back and watch it now because I'd probably pick it apart. I haven't watched so much anime and cartoons since then. I would literally destroy it in the first 5 minutes, be going like, why did I do this to myself? So I'm happy with the memories, but yeah. So yeah, definitely the Revelation stuff is, oh yes,
Oh, it's so
looking
good.
forward to it.
I think we were talking about this beforehand, and you said you've seen the trailer so many times. I've rewatched the trailer. Oh boy, quite a lot of times. I just love the way the music fits, like with the key times of things being hit. It just matches the music so well. It's just synced perfectly.
They've put together the perfect quintessential trailer. That's what they've done. They've nailed it, and to a degree that it's not just gonna pull in kids. It's gonna pull in the ages that have grown up with the different incarnations of He-Man. It's gonna pull them in. And I think that's one of the great things about He-Man as a franchise, is that no matter what age you start in at it, you'll always want to go back and watch other iterations of it because you're always intrigued by what they are, except maybe the He-Man and the Future one. That one's an interesting concept, but yeah, you do have that. You are drawn into it as a franchise, and even now, even the popularity of it, it's still staggering how it is, and that's why a lot of animations now that are aimed at kids, very few kind of succeed in keeping a longevity like He-Man has. And I think the trailer nails it. In trailer kind of points it out, 40 years since the franchise first debuted almost. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a really crazy thing. When that popped up afterwards, I was like, hang on, was it 40 years?
Yeah, I had to
Where
double
am I?
check as well.
You have to go back and check it because you're like, what? And it's an incredible story. I mean, it's an incredible story how Masters of the Universe came about, and then I guess as well because nowadays there's not as I don't know if it, I mean, from what I can gather, there isn't as much push as there used to be to basically use animation to sell the toy line as much. I mean, yes, you still do get toys, and people in the comments will probably go, "Oh, we don't know what he's talking about narration of that. Oh, they make all these toys," but it's that was the sole purpose of Masters of the Universe back in the day. It was purely to sell toys.
Yeah.
And I think now it's about making animation and doing a good animated series as much as selling toys. But there we go.
Yeah, it's pretty much if the anime does or the animation does well, then the toys come out later. Well, like you said, back in the day, so many series it was made for toys.
Yeah.
And if you bought the toys, yeah, that's it. Series done well.
Yeah, Mask was one from Hasbro as well. There was G.I. Joe that had the similar kind of thing. Transformers, yeah, I mean, another classic one, which is still currently doing well with Netflix as a provider there. But yeah, I don't disagree. I think it's, yeah. So the trailer, yeah, I mean, I think for me, it, like you say, the music beats are nice. I think it really does invoke that. It doesn't also do the thing about giving away too much of the plot, which a lot of trailers can sometimes do.
Yeah.
So it teases you to want to watch it by throwing in some really great action scenes and some really kind of high octane stuff. And I just remember watching it, finishing it, and I just remember I posted it up on Facebook. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in," kind of thing. I was sold. It was in. I could not believe it. I was like, "Yep, tick the box. Thanks a lot." And that Netflix nailed it with that choice. But then, yeah, I'm curious to see in July. I'm just hoping that that's not the best of it, if that makes sense.
I think we all have that dread, especially with trailers that nowadays they just show the best. I really, really hope it's not the case, because I do want to, see so much to this. But because my phone again, never mind. I did say this in my reaction. The people who made, or who are the animators behind Castlevania, are the ones behind this, so Powerhouse Animations. So, and the Castlevania series is just so good. It's really good. And the story to it as well is fantastic. So I have every faith in the animation, no doubt. The story, obviously, we don't know, apart from that it's after the original series.
Yeah, because Netflix released a follow-on video, didn't they? And because this was revealed as part of their Nerd Week, wasn't it?
Yes.
The whole thing, and then they did a whole segment on it, and they've since released that whole segment as a separate video, in which Kevin Smith's talking about and being involved in the project.
Yeah.
And he goes on and says like the story kind of is. And spoilers, if anyone doesn't know anything, you have a few second warning.
Yep, pretty much.
Right,
if you want to switch off now.
You've had a few seconds. So essentially, it's about Teela learning the secret that everybody else has known for years. So that's the revelation, and then it's how she deals with it and how she comes to grips with knowing that secret, and apparently it has dramatic effects on everyone around her. So that's kind of where they're going for it. And he then describes the first part of the first episode as being very much like a classic He-Man episode in the way it's done, and then it twists itself halfway and goes a kind of half of the first episode and goes kind of a bit darker and continues the tone that they wish to have for the rest of the series from there on in. So that's interesting. And one thing I like about having Kevin Smith involved is he's very good at kind of getting a good story.
Yeah.
And that's for me is one of the things that is important to me when I'm watching any kind of animated series, and that's another reason why I haven't watched a lot of the old classics back again, is because you always feel like you're going to get laid down, and with him, I think he's going to do a good story. I think he's going to have a good handle on it, because he knows how to develop a story and how to develop characters and how to have it continue across multiple parts, whereas some writers may not necessarily have that ability. So I'm really kind of looking forward to see how his input as a director from all of his like live action work pays off.
Because is this his first animation he's done? I'm not 100% familiar with Kevin Smith's work, unfortunately.
I don't know if it's his first animation. I mean, I'm not sure actually on that one, but certainly he's been very creative in the films he's done. So I think for him working on this is going to be it's going to be interesting to see how he pulls it off and what he's kind of what directions he gives in what he wants to see. So yeah, I don't have anything like you don't have any problems with the kind of and thinking the animation is going to be on point. I'm the same with that in terms of the story. I think Kevin Smith can be good at that. And you mentioned when we talk about the intro, you mentioned the music. Bear McCreary, I mean, hands down a legend. I mean, his work is phenomenal. I mean, Battlestar Galactica, if you've ever listened to the soundtrack for that, it is so good. I mean, the man is a masterful genius at his stuff, and he's done loads of stuff over the years since then. So it's just a really nice stroke to have him there. I am curious to see what they do with the actual theme tune itself.
Yeah.
Because that is iconic.
I mean, everyone knows the He-Man theme.
Yeah.
It's just like...
I'd hum it, but for fear of copyright, we get done. But
look it up if you haven't. Don't worry, we'll be here waiting. But yeah, we did hear the score, and I was saying to this earlier. I only discovered this not long after I watched the trailer of the score of He-Man's transformation theme. So obviously, the transformation from the original, it was the theme tune. It was just. Yep. Pretty much the same. 2002 one was a bit more serious. With this one, it's kind of not as serious, but you could tell there's a transformation scene.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, when I heard it the first time, I was like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. And then I kind of then when I heard it back again before this, I'm kind of like. I was thinking they would focus because in the original one you had a kind of you had the original score, the original theme repeated, so you had the da 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 da, and they kind of did that and added that part in, and then in the 2002, like you say rightfully, they did do the whole dramatic kind of score and everything else, and so. I'm not too sold on the transformation sequence. It just seemed a bit not as action heavy or not as kind of dramatic in places as the original was. Because the original one, as soon as he transformed it, you got that feeling of everyone to go, "Oh yeah, he's transformed! Oh my god, yes, he's gonna kick butt now, way!" Kind of thing. And that for me is what made that kind of scene iconic in the first place. And of course, don't forget there's the echo they put on the voice. And all that kind of stuff. I think in Kevin Smith's early reveal, it's not made clear as to if that's a final version or not. It may well have just been the working version. Yeah. And they may well put in a lot of this stuff in the actual edits. But if you watch it, they've always added some kind of thing to the voice. Even in the Dolph Lundgren version, it kind of there was some kind of score behind that. There was the vocal changes. So yeah, that to me was probably one of the surprising letdowns so far on it. I think for me.
I will admit you could see it in my reaction, but the transformation scene just took me completely by surprise. And it did kind of remind me of Sailor Moon. The whole kind of mystical background, like rainbow background, and then obviously the changing of the clothes. Yeah. I think a lot of people did say afterwards, yeah, it kind of does remind you of that. That's why when I heard the music, I thought, it kind of does work a little. I don't think we saw Battle Cat's transformation, but obviously they don't want to reveal everything, so... No.
But you can find out, because if you look up online, because they've got the action figures out now, so you can see Battle Cat in the full Battle Cat armour.
Yeah.
And if you haven't yet looked at the action figures, be wary if you find them on the Hasbro site, because I think there's one figure that's a spoiler. So, yeah, and I went and looked, I was like, damn it. I
think I might have seen it as well. I'm not going to say what. We'll probably talk about it off stream, but yeah. I did see it and I thought, well, never mind.
yeah, just like, great, damn, could have put a spoiler warning on that, couldn't you? But no, those are kind of, I don't know, I'm just curious to see I'm really excited to see the finished product. That is there's no doubt about that. I really am. I just hope. I mean, there is the whole kind of argument that you could say, well, look, you're judging on the past ones. Don't, try to give it a new reign, kind of like a new view from a new eye. But I think I always do that anyway. I think I've always done that, which is why sometimes you may find that some of the stuff that you actually like based on a classic franchise, you like the more modern version than the classic one. So it's just a case of I just don't want it to be butchered by critics and just go, oh well, it does this, and it's just like, no, just take it for what it is. He-Man was always light-hearted, down to the PSAs.
Yeah.
They were always funny with a serious message, and even now you look back on them and you giggle, and so there's always been that kind of element to it. I mean, if you watch, I don't know if you follow this person, but Grumpy Skeletor, the actual parody account on Twitter.
Recently, I have, yes.
Oh, good God. I've followed him for years, and my God, every time he gets me. Every time. So funny. And it's just, and it highlight, even the shots he uses, the majority of them just highlight some of the stuff that they did in the animation that you didn't even think of at the time. And you're like, oh my God. And now you're looking back on it, you're like, that's actually really funny. How did I, and because you're a kid, you would never have seen it. Even parents missed it at the time. So, but you won't get any of that now because, of course, obviously the animation is going to be a lot better and a lot smoother and a lot different more techniques, and it's a different kind of tonal shift anyway in this series. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's good. It will be. I am excited to see it, and this is part 1, I believe, isn't it? The first tranche they're releasing in July.
I was going to bring that up, yeah, because it says it's part 1, and when I looked on IMDb. For the cast, for He-Man, it's 10 episodes, so I don't know if that's going to be 10 episodes as part 1 and then they'll release part 2 later on, or are they going to do 5 episodes and then another 5 episodes maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I don't know, I've not...
I only found that out when I was looking at the cast, and then it just said 10 episodes. Funny enough, I'm just going to bring up the screen now. Oh no, 8 episodes. Sorry, 8 episodes. My apologies.
Yeah, so I'd imagine maybe it's the first. Oh, the series. Yeah, they don't actually. I would imagine it's going to probably the first part being 8 episodes. To be honest, I would, because I think releasing 5, if it's 4, fair play. But for me, 4 is not. It's too short amount of stuff to put out and have people addicted. I don't know. That sounds wrong.
Unless they make them an hour each episode?
Yeah, I mean, if they're an hour each, then yeah, 4's enough. But if you're talking about... but then the format traditionally for He-Man has been 22 minutes. So if you're going to amp it up to 4 episodes, a full hour, you're going to end up having to really have a loss of plot to fill in that 4 hours. And then if you're then saying there's 8 total, that's 8 hours of content, would be interesting. I mean, they could do it. I mean, I see the way they're going to do this much in the same line you said, Castlevania. I see this being type of a Voltron type of story that they're going to use to kind of grow over a few seasons. So I would imagine 8 covers the first part, then like 2022 maybe, or later 2021 they release the second part, which would be another 8 episodes, and then just build it like that, because I think that's how they're going to get the best bang for their buck, as it were.
Yeah.
And story-wise, 8 episodes at 22 minutes is fairly manageable, especially during the time they've been producing this. I mean, they've been producing it for not as long as I don't think it's only a few years. So for me, I'm just curious to see where they go. But the other thing is how much, because this is almost a continuation of the previous series, how much of that stuff are they going to retouch on? Are they going to touch on any of the original origin stories and reimagine them? Because that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I think one I would love to see, again, this is going to be spoilers if you've never seen the original, the Sorceress and Teela.
Yep.
I would love if they could focus more on that, because it was a great episode, but they, again, spoilers, they found out that Teela is the daughter of the Sorceress. And that was like mind-blowing for me as a child.
Well, to me, it was the biggest son of Man-at-Arms was truly the player. I mean, he was the actual player of that kingdom of Eternia. That man was on fire. He wasn't selling for just no palace people. He was going for the Sorceress, and he ain't saying nothing. But yeah, let's be. It was. You're absolutely right. I mean, it was a cracking bit of story, and they really played it low key throughout the entire series with that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I love about the original Masters and the kind of follow-on series was they really did know how to drip feed you the story in a really nice way, so that by the time you got the answers, you're like, okay, that's kind of plausible, because most people would go, oh my God, no, she's an all-powerful woman, like sorceress. She wouldn't, no, she could never be Man at Arms, as bit, um, bit in Grayskull. I don't know, I couldn't put it anywhere else. But no, but it was kind of like, yeah, it was believable, and I loved that. And I think the other thing that was really, which kind of threw the cat in the pigeons later on, I don't know if you remember this, but when they revealed the origin of He-Man's mother, Adam's mother.
Vaguely. It's been a long time.
It turns out that she somehow came from Earth
Oh,
and
yes,
landed
yes.
in a spaceship or something, and there's I think a woman or something. She was a young woman at the time or something, so she married King Randor, and then so Adam's half human. So they kind of did that, and I was like, oh, okay. Because that's an origin you just don't expect.
No, definitely not.
And that was really cool. So I'm curious to see how they can do that. And of course the big one, and the other big one as well, that Skeletor is in fact Prince Adam's uncle.
Yes, yeah.
And that's like a huge one, because essentially He-Man's trying to imprison / kill his own family effectively. So I'm very curious to see how they do that and how they handle all of that kind of stuff, because that goes back to, I guess, Mattel, because I said Hasbro earlier, didn't I?
I think you did. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's Mattel.
It's Mattel for them. It is Mattel. Yeah, I don't know why I said Hasbro. I'm so much thinking of.
Don't worry,
yeah,
I didn't know it either, because I agreed with you. It's very warm here in the UK. We're kind of trying to compute as it is.
Oh, I think. Yeah, it's a case for me that you always, with all these franchises and stuff like that, with them merging together and the story, you always wonder. And one of the things about the He-Man story was it was very much of the company itself. They wanted a wholesome kind of family thing to a certain degree, but also they wanted to sell toys, so they had to make that a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am kind of hoping the story isn't too far removed from what we've had in the past.
Yeah. I mean, if they could just expand more on what they've done. I mean, you have pretty much all the characters from the original in this, from what we saw in the trailer, which is brilliant. So
yeah.
And oh, go on, sorry.
Oh, carry on.
I was going to say, speaking of, well, actually, funny enough, are you going to get any of the figures when they come out?
This is a sorely tempting one, because one of the great other things they've done, and it is that they've released them on Amazon.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, you can buy them on Amazon, which I thought was great, because for me you can get them anywhere if you find them online, but it is something that having them on Amazon will make a big difference to a lot of people, especially if you've got Prime, because then you can not have to pay for delivery, whereas other smaller companies don't have the delivery charges. But yeah, I was like, ooh, so totally tempted with this. Yeah, I am to say that I'm considering it is probably very true. Much to my display case's groaning. Yeah, I am considering it. Yeah, it's the short answer.
Yeah, same. I probably won't get them all, but I'll get the ones they haven't released. Teela, I know that, all the sorceresses yet, but those two are definites I would get, as well as He-Man. But yeah, like you said, it's just like, oh, my case I've just cleared my room, and now suddenly I'm going to start filling it up again with figures.
But just go by the power of Grayskull and it'll clear it for you.
That's true. But speaking of like the characters, the cast, wow, they have got quite a good cast for this series from what I saw.
Yeah, and they've got quite the interesting thing is they've got quite a large cast, which is really kind of interesting. And whereas if you look at the old, again, to bring the old one in, because people just they had a small cast, so
yeah,
it's very interesting to see that they've done this and they've gone for it. And I'm all a fan of using good people that have done good work. I've never been a big stunt casting fan. I don't like that. I don't like having some big person who's put in there for the sake of it. So I'm kind of grateful to a degree that they've got people like John Owen as Prince Adam and He-Man, because he's he's unknown to me. He might not be to others, but it's not a big name. Like, they've not put some random male large actor who does loads of Hollywood stuff in the role of it, because then you're just like, and looking at John Owen, he's done a lot of kind of movie voiceover stuff, so kind of interesting that
I've got him as Chris Wood here. Would that be the same one?
I know he's done. Certainly looking up, he's done quite a few.
He was in Vampire Diaries, from what I see here.
I'm looking at the other one. I'm looking wrong person. I'm looking at the wrong cast list here for a minute. I jumped back to the original cast list for a minute. Shows how much focused I was. I was looking at the wrong cast list. I've got two cast list windows open, and one of them is the original, and one of them's the new one. So that explains why I suddenly was thinking, oh yeah, he's the original He-Man. But again, let's have a look here, because there we go. Chris Wood. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, Chris Wood. So yeah, it's just like Sarah Michelle Gellar as Teela. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Lean Cunningham as Man at Arms. Like, the list goes on. There's such a good level of casting here down through it. I mean, Kevin Conroy as Merman. I mean, you've got Batman as Merman.
Yeah. And you have Mark Hamill as Skeletor, so they're kind of on the same side this time.
that was my big booty there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry about that. I'm not worried about that. But for me, Mark Hamill, though, I mean, I've heard his Skeletor voice, and because I remember reading a comment about him, and he's saying like he was getting tired of voice acting and stuff, and then he got offered Skeletor, and he's like, I'm in.
Who wouldn't? I mean,
exactly. He's like one of the most iconic villains in like cartoon and animation history. You're gonna take it. If someone comes up to you and said, "Do you want to be old Boneface?" You're gonna take it. But they've got a really nice cast. I mean, it's just Sarah Michelle Gellar, like Buffy. I almost, to a degree, would have liked them not to reveal who the cast was, so that then you can watch it back and then try not to hear their voice in it, because then it would have been quite cool. And then people go, "Oh my god, is this?" But the thing that makes me giggle as well is that they've got Jason Mewes as Stinkor. And you just know that's Kevin Smith doing that because he's his mate, and he wants to tease him a little bit, so he just shoves him in there and does that. I think that's hilarious.
I was gonna say, I will admit, I didn't really pay attention to the voice cast until I watched it, and then when I realised, I was like, wait, is that Mark Hamill? And I thought, oh, right, okay, we're in.
They've got some good people. Phil Lamar as well is another voice acting classic. I mean, he's done. I'm writing something Futurama, so and he's really cool. Justin Long is another actor, quite good actor as well. Alicia Silverstone as well as Queen Marlena.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, that kind of the actual cast, and Dietrich Bader as King Randor. It's just, and Lena Headey, of course. Who could forget Lena Headey as Evil Lynn? I mean, it's
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And Tony Todd as well, of course. Candyman himself, as Scareglow.
I do love that they have the original voice actor of Skeletor in this as well, but he's Mossman this time. But I do like that they brought him back in it.
Yeah, I love it. It's like you do kind of want to have an episode, though, jokingly, where he mocks Skeletor and does the voice just for the sheer giggles of it. You just want him to do it, even though they never would. You'd just be really funny for him to do it. But yeah. I mean, bearing in mind how old probably he is now, it depends on if he's even still got the same.
Let me see. 1930, so he is 81 now.
Jeez,
man. Yeah, April 23rd, 1930. Yep.
And he's still doing some good, still doing voice stuff now. It's just incredible. I mean, it's yeah. And they got Susan Eisenberg as the sorceress as well. That's an interesting choice.
I think we heard her at the beginning, didn't we? Obviously, at the beginning of the trailer.
She's done a lot of stuff. Like, she's done the Wonder Woman in Justice League and stuff like that. She's she's done video games, all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of, I've been kind of curious to see where she goes with this. I mean, Mass Effect 3 she's done, so it's kind of, I don't know. It's a mixture there, because there's a mixture of people that you wouldn't necessarily know that, but you've heard of their voices in other things, and that's what I kind of like sometimes. Is like you sat there and going, ooh, you know, and then you go back and you tend to pick up on these things again than when you've watched them 2 or 3 times. So yeah, I'm just curious. The thing for me, as I said earlier, is story. I really love a good story, and I love that, especially now, especially in the current world we're in. I love to be taken out of my element with a really good story, and that's what I think this series has a potential to do.
Yeah, you're right in that. It's just like we haven't had the greatest year in a bit, but it has been stuff like shows like this, just and things just take us out of that. And now you think, well, I'm going to spend my time in Eternia now instead for the next few weeks, instead of thinking about the world out there, and you just think, yeah.
And it's also, the other thing is, it kind of takes you back to a time that you were when you were younger and stuff like that, and it kind of brings you back memories of stuff that you as a child, and you're like, oh yeah, God, it was this got me into He-Man, and you relive all of that. So that's one of the great things about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they kind of touch on the nostalgia in this, and how they focus on that. I would just love it if at the end of the episode they do PSAs. I know they won't. But if they just did, it'd just be funny if they could just release a couple. It would just amuse me no end. It would really fun. Hey kids, don't forget that you wear a mask in public. Just random stuff like that. If they just did it in like kind of a tongue-in-cheek way, it would just be really funny. But I don't think it'll stylistically suit what they're going for, sadly. But
no,
just as a nod to it, it would be quite funny. And the other thing I wonder, will we see Kevin Smith do a voice act, part? Will he jump in somewhere hidden in there? And what other hidden things are they going to throw in?
Yeah,
because that would be kind of cool.
There might be a lot of Easter eggs in there that us, like fans would recognise. There has to be. It's like you said with the whole thing with Skeletor, with Mossman, maybe doing an impersonation of Skeletor, and then people who'd never watched the show probably wouldn't realise, but for like you and me, be like, oh, I see what they did there.
I love those things as well in shows like that. You really do. They're the bits that make you giggle and like, oh, nice. But the thing I thought, going back to the trailer though, the one thing I was curious about, because there's a scene in it where you only get like a short kind of burst of it, but it looks like it's Orko actually using his magic and it working, because that was always a big running gag. And I'm like, ooh, does this mean he's got a handle on his magic, or is this just another one of those occasions where he actually gets it right?
Orko looks incredible. The designs, actually, I mean, a lot of the designs look the same, but Orko's seems to be the most like dramatic transformation, so to speak.
Yeah, that's actually quite true. I think he's gone very much darker. They're kind of going for a darker elf kind of look, I think.
Yeah,
is what I'm seeing when I'm looking at that. Yeah, he's I don't know how else to describe that one.
I'm just going back to the trailer now and having a look.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to get a good shot of him, but they've not really released any character models. So yeah, no, looking at it, I've got a still of it. It's about 1 minute and 5 in the trailer, but yeah, he's kind of you just got his eyes. They look very kind of almost dark and kind of evil kind of look to them.
And more human, so to speak. Because before it was just like the usual, just like cartoon eyes, but Orko definitely looks more human-esque now, or monster-esque, I suppose.
I'd say monster-esque more likely. Yeah, definitely monster-esque in that sense. I mean, because the ears are very much what I'd call them very much an elven style.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing for me, like you said, the designs and the animation company doing them. It's very, I like them. They've kind of bulked them up a little bit, kind of given them a bit more muscle and a bit more, they look almost kind of what's what I want to like beefy is the kind of way I want to put it. And they've kept that femininity on the female characters, but as well as the real strength they've given to them as well. I
Yeah,
love that. I think it's really kind of cool, and they've made them suit the world they're saying they're in, which is really great.
yeah. Because it's kind of, this is very much like the original, because we had the 2002 edition and it just completely revamped most of the characters.
Yeah,
I mean, with Tila, her costume was completely different. The sorceress was very much like an Egyptian kind of design, rather than the like an Egyptian bird rather than like the falcon. And then obviously Adam had a different complete costume to what you would see nowadays. But I'm kind of glad they did go back to the original and stuck with it. Because straight away, as soon as you see, oh, that's Man at Arms, that's Merman, that's, that's Skeletor, straight away.
yeah. And that the other thing they did in the 2002 one was they kind of, even if you looked at stuff like Cringer, they kind of made him look, even in his before his battle cat kind of stage, he was a very kind of wimpy, kind of bony. He wasn't that thing. I think on this one, from what we've seen, they haven't gone too much down that route.
Mm,
But I think they're gonna. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna use an amalgamation of all of them. I think certainly. I think, but adding the certain just to suit their stylistic vision, I guess, and that's the thing. And also, they've got to remember that Mattel, not Hasbro, um, Mattel will want to make it into something that they can sell as a figure.
yeah,
So it has to be something that they can sell as a figure. Otherwise, you're not. If you're going to suddenly put something spindly together as a figure, that's they'll be like, "No, that's easily going to break if we're not too careful." So
mm,
they want to make it, see it on multiple levels, which is what they're doing. The question is, though, I mean, with this, I mean, are we going to get that apart from the figures? Are we going to get a large merchandising thing? Are we going to get like suddenly a He-Man PS5 game pop up, or Masters of the Universe Online suddenly jump up?
yeah. That is interesting. I mean, with now, for example, She-Ra, that I haven't watched the series, but I have heard the revamp is very good. But
It's
that
available on BBC iPlayer, I think, or all four.
is
One
it
of the two.
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So as well as
I think
Netflix,
some of
it's
it
on
was.
there.
Yeah.
I I mean, didn't watch too much of the original because I was more of a He-Man fan than a She-Ra fan. But it's like I said. Now I went to Forbidden Planet over the weekend, and they did have She-Ra figures. They had Tila, Evil Lyn, even, and this is like the old school revamped as repackaged, I suppose. So still like the old school kind of figures. So yeah, I think if they did it that way, but I don't know, like modernized it. But with video games, it's kind of difficult because I don't know. I think that's just. Mm,
It depends on what, I guess it depends on Mattel really and what they want to do with their
yeah,
world building, because I know a lot of people, both, I'll bring them up again here, but Hasbro and Mattel are both looking at their properties they own now and trying to revamp them essentially and bring them back out again
yeah,
for the different audiences. So, and even to the point of doing crossovers. So, because I think the She-Ra one and this one are probably going to be set in different worlds, I would imagine.
I believe so.
So essentially, I don't see much of a crossover unless they're planning on revamping She-Ra for this series, which I'm not. I'm not going to say I'm against either. I think I always
Yeah,
loved that character in terms of the way they brought her into the Master of the universe by the Secret of the Sword and how she's, Prince Adam's sister and everything else like that, and how they really kind of fleshed out that character
mm,
with that. But I don't know. I don't think they will for a while. I think what they'll do is they'll likely wait till the series has been on for a while if they go past the initial first lot, and then when they need a story crux, they'll bring that back to kind of refresh it and to give something else to watch. But whether or not with this is just going to be a case of Masters of the Universe Revelation and that's it. Once the Revelation story's done, there's no more, or is Revelation just the first arc of an ongoing set of different stories
yeah,
that they're going to tell based on that? And if it is, then that's probably how I would certainly foresee them bringing in something else like that, or
Yeah.
She-Ra, or another past character. Because don't forget, the one thing the 2002 one did was bring in the Snake Men, and that was a cracking story arc.
Mm.
And I remember loving that in both the comics and the TV series. So
Yeah.
there's some great stuff out there to build on, and so I would love it if they would do something more like that and have it like book 1 is Revelation, book 2 is something else, or
Because obviously,
whatever else.
Revelation is in regards to Teela finding out and then processing from there, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Master of the Universe transformation, crossover with the Transformers. Different. I know it's a different thing, but hell, it might be worth doing. Just random stuff like that. I mean, that's completely random, and that would be the most insane thing you'd ever seen. But, well, to be fair, not the most insane thing you've ever seen. There's a lot more weirder crossovers out there.
I have seen a few, yeah.
Yeah, I am intrigued to see how this one goes and what they do with this. Are they going to be the case of one and done? Is the thing?
Depends on who watches it and how many people watches it.
Yeah, well, the trailers had like in excess of 4 million views at the time of this recording, so
yeah,
that's insane. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's a really good number of views for a trailer for a show that's like 40 years old.
Yeah.
It's getting a reinvention. That's brilliant. I mean, for me, I think that's, if I was Netflix, I'd see that as encouraging.
Oh gosh, definitely. I can't remember at the time when She-Ra did come out, because obviously it's two complete different aesthetics, as you could see. Like, She-Ra was very more soft. I don't know, just it seemed. I'm not condemning it, by the way. I'm just saying, compared to this trailer and what we see of She-Ra, it is very much chalk and cheese.
Yeah, they're aiming at two different markets for the.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the more recent incarnation of She-Ra?
Yes.
Yeah, they're aiming at. There's a completely different audience here, between those two in one sense, because they're aiming at, in this case, a more. I want to say die-hard hardcore fan, but they seem to be aiming at a more. The skew seems to be a more older audience for this one, which you can see by your edgy character designs and things like that. But then that's not to say that. I don't know. I see your point there, and I do agree with it. They're two different audiences, really.
So and obviously now it has finished on Netflix, so maybe they could bring in this version of She-Ra and make it different canon, maybe.
That's the thing. That, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, as we know now, the word multiverse is a huge money spinner for whatever company, be the House of Mouse or the House of He-Man. It's a chance to make some money, so there's always that potential. And the She-Ra was had quite a cult following, the newest reincarnation. So there's nothing stopping them doing that. But I would suggest it would be a very interesting crossover.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of people would be expecting them to follow on and maybe do the a reinvention of the classic She-Ra and kind of spin on that.
Yes. It would be, yeah.
I'm not averse against either, if I'm honest. I would be kind of cool to see the crossover, because again, it's like one of those Easter egg things that we were going about earlier. You'd be like, oh my god, they brought her in from this series. Oh great. So, but yeah, I am very intrigued by their plans for this, and the fact that Mattel have actually gone ahead and done a series. Because yes, the history suggests they would, but you don't believe they're going to, do you?
No. I mean, when I saw the pictures of this, I was very excited, and I thought, yep, definitely see the series. And when I saw the trailer, I was thinking, yep, definitely gonna see this series now.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting a trailer for it either. I was expecting them to just release it like maybe a teaser, like a shorter teaser of like a few seconds or something.
Yeah.
15 to 30 seconds worth of it, but then they released this full like minute and a half trailer, and even a teaser, even though they called it a teaser, to me I was like, oh my god, that's a trailer, that's amazing, that's a trailer. And now I just don't want them to release anything else. I want them to just hold off. We've got just over a month, and then just don't do anything more. Just leave it.
I hope so as well. I mean, I would love to react to it, but again, like you said, you'd be afraid in case they'd spoil something, or and it does happen, unfortunately, nowadays.
They've got my excitement to that level where
Yeah.
if they do anything else and it's not as good as what they've done, it's gonna bring me. I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll still give it a watch though, and then that excitement is gone. It takes the edge off it,
Mm.
and right now I'm just like, yeah, can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Oh.
I know. It's
Um,
literally 6 weeks to go now. If that.
it's scary, isn't it? How quickly time goes, but this is one case where I'm like, bring it on, bring it on. You know, it's just, yeah, it is going to be for me one of those things where I'm going to sit down, I'm going to plan to watch one episode, and then 6 episodes later, or
Yeah.
however many episodes we got later, I'll be like, oh, the evening's gone, it's 2 a.m. I've just binge watched most of this. I should really go to bed, but there's even more left. It's going to be that inner battle that we all have when you've watched one episode, then in turn, and you think it's one, it turns out you've lost track of time and it's 6. But yeah, but then again, that would be, if that happens, that's great, because that's what Netflix like, isn't it? They like people to binge watch their series, and if you don't binge watch it, they may not renew it. Kind of is the theory, but yeah, I don't know. I'm excited, and it's been a while since I was excited about an animation series that is based on a classic franchise like this.
I think, funnily enough, the last one for me was Castlevania, because I loved the game series as a whole, and I actually did binge watch the first series in one evening. I think it was like 4 a.m. in the morning when I realised, sleep's a thing. I need to do. I had to be up that day and the next day as well for something. I thought, but I had no regrets. I still need to watch the other 3 series, but that was the last time I think I properly got excited for an animation. And this is just gonna be so good. I do have high hopes for it. I really do.
I've got high hopes for it, but I'm also trying to temper them, because I know that if it goes too high, I'll end up sitting there going, well, that was a waste of a damn time. And I don't want to be in that situation. I'm trying to temper them, but they made it very difficult with that teaser trailer. Well, let's put it that way. I was like, oh, okay, I really am getting more excited for this by the minute.
I thought it was also interesting, like, in regards to the fighting. I think with the whole thing with Teela and Evil Lyn and Skeletor and He-Man, it looks like they're fighting in the same place, so I'm guessing that's just one episode on its own.
Yeah, it's likely gonna, I would imagine, be sometime in the early part of the series. I don't think they'll give too much away off in the trailer. But yeah, you're right. I think it does look like different scenarios. I mean, we could try and pick it apart for hours to try and guess what we thought it was. But I'm curious to know how they kind of incorporate all of this in, and the locales and everything that we're familiar with, and even Castle Grayskull. Kind of the design of it seems the same, ish. It's just, I don't know. Just going back and looking at stuff like Sorceress's costume and everything else like that, that's kind of, they've toned it down and stuff like that.
Yeah, they've kind of made it into a full-length dress with a couple of slits down the side, but still, you could tell it's Sorceress straight away.
Pretty much. And it's just looking at the transformation sequence again from He-Man, it's just, you've got it always there, and I don't know. They've even given Skeletor some skeleton minions as well. They show that for like a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, even, going back to the design again, and it's just the aesthetics of every part of it, from the locations to even the animation, the kind of everything, just looks so well considered based on what the product is.
Yeah.
Not just sometimes you get with these products where they almost look like a fan's gone in there and made them and done a bad job of it, or not conceptualized it, or is trying to revolutionize it. Not saying He-Man of the future, that
wasn't a bad series. It was fun.
It wasn't bad, but come on. I mean, I get what they were trying to do. I get they were trying to update it for that, but there are ways and means of getting around it. And that wasn't one of them. But what I ever expected them to do. But the other thing as well, let's not forget, I mean, if we go back to the series itself, and we were talking about the episode count, the original one had like over 100, I think around about 130 odd episodes.
Wow.
And that was only 2 seasons. So, because that was made for syndicated television at the time. So if you're looking at now, it's just made for one channel, so it's made for Netflix. So they're having a limited run suits their style. So I'm very, very, very curious to see how that affects it.
I think also with the original He-Man, they did reuse a lot of scenes, didn't they?
Come on, yeah, it's 80s animation. You're not gonna,
No.
you did it. I'd be very interested to see a side-by-side transformation sequence from the 80s and this one, and then comparing the others between them all as well, and seeing what they look like in terms of animation, because animation has evolved so ridiculously much.
Oh yeah.
Now, so it was it could be very, very, very interesting, and I'm just glad they've got I'm fair play to Netflix and also for Mattel for doing it.
Yeah.
Just gonna be it's gonna be great.
We could talk all night in regards to how excited we are, because we're both looking forward to this. It's just going to be
I mean,
so
come on,
good.
they've even got the horse. They've even got the mechanical horse. I mean, come on, that's like what?
I'm trying not to slam the desk, but yes.
Yeah, so it's just like, I'm sorry, I'm a fanboy now, but it's just like it's just, if you take it frame by frame and you just look at what they've done, some of the stuff, it's just, it looks, even the style, there's a shot of Grayskull with the sorcerers just coming in the beginning, if you pause it there, and it's just the look of everything, the look of the clouds, the look of all of that stuff, it really just, there's almost like a love letter to the 80s one. It really is. And whilst being up to date.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I love that kind of a nod, and then I love and then once they start transferring to new locales that are specific to this series, they're probably gonna bring in their own style, and as they go through it, they are. So
yeah,
I don't know. I get a feeling it's gonna be really interesting, and adding the view of the story being Teela's revelation, I think really is going to be intriguing. I hope, I mean, there has been a lot of people saying that they hope it's not all Teela, and there's been some negativity there, but
yeah.
I am waiting. I am willing to be entertained, so I'm cute. I don't care what it's about, as long as it's Master of the Universe and it's good and not pants. Then I'm good.
Yeah, pretty much, because they didn't really, like you said, Teela was the only one who pretty much didn't know about, apart from the baddies, who didn't know about Adam being He-Man. So you think after all these years, you think, oh my god, I teased him, you know. Him.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
He's He-Man.
Didn't they have a kind of a flirty kind of thing going on? If I remember rightly, Adam and Teela for a while.
I think they did, yeah.
I could be missed. That could be just my old adult brain pulling into something that wasn't existed, but I'm pretty sure they did. So that might be kind of interesting to explore then, really.
Yeah. Well, you could tell that Adam had a massive crush on Teela. You could obviously tell that.
Yeah, let's be fair. He's a horny teen. He's gonna be. The thing is, it was partly an act to a degree, but I don't know. The other thing is, because it's going to be a big thing if you're talking about Teela. I mean, it's not just Orca; it's everyone around her lied to her effectively.
Yeah.
That's the other big thing here to look at, and how it's going to affect her psyche as somebody that saw herself as a strong, authoritative figure, but everybody lied to her, and everybody kind of almost treated her like protected her.
Yeah.
So, and felt that she wasn't able to handle that. So that's where I would think it might go. And then might have her just strike out on her own or something, or rebel in that sense. So it could be kind of almost like a rebellion angle they go with as well. But I don't know, that's just me. That's how I think it could happen. But it's a great idea. I think it adds a dimension to it that we've not had.
Definitely. My god, Tina's going to discover a lot of things. What should be like when she finds out about the sorceress?
Oh god. Yeah, I think I don't know. I can't remember what she found out in the series.
I can't remember either, to be fair.
I can't. I know because I know in some of the follow-ons particularly in the comics, she definitely did. And I know
Mm.
at one point she actually becomes the sorceress.
Yes, that's starting to ring a
Which
bell in my head now.
So I remember that as a storyline. So if they're going to end with that, that would be amazing. I mean, to see that come into fruition would just be amazing.
Mm.
Because it would be, and have her make that final evolution into that strength and show that strength even more that she's already got. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm also want to know: Are we going to find out more about the Secrets of Grayskull, or is that just going to be, boom? Or that could be the other one. It could be the next one. Could be Masters of the Universe: Secrets of Grayskull.
Yep, could be. There's
Copyright Stuart.
patent it now.
Right now, Netflix, I want commission if you use that. But yeah, that's kind of that for me. There has been criticism of that, and in terms of it being all Tilo, and I'm like, just be grateful you got Master of the Universe. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Just enjoy it. We've been waiting a long time for I mean, obviously we had 2002, but obviously we do love when things are brought back, and even better when it looks great. So give us this, please give us this.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you're right. It's 2002 since that last one, and it's absolutely crazy to think that really that it's been that long. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like you say, just let us have it.
Yeah, just let us have fun, please. We need something at the moment.
By the power of the Grayskull, just let us have fun.
Oh gosh, I think that's a good time to end it there. Unless you have anything else to say.
No. I say it comes out on Netflix and I think I want to say July 23rd, isn't it? And then
yes, July 23rd.
So I urge everyone to give it a shot. Really, suspend your disbelief, go out there and have fun.
Yeah.
And if you're discovering it for the first time, just enjoy it. And if you're watching it as a classic fan, enjoy it again, I suppose.
Yeah, and if you want to watch the originals, the episodes are on YouTube. There is an official He-Man YouTube channel that has pretty much all the episodes on there. So if you want to watch the very beginning, I think it has. I don't know if it has 2002 edition, but I'm sure it is on there.
And I'm pretty sure at some point it will come to Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Let's be fair. I'll be surprised if some of them don't start appearing on other streaming services.
Oh yeah.
So check around and find them. But yeah, or if you're even geeky like me, I think I've got some of the original series on DVD in my living room. But
I think I have a few as well somewhere.
So grab them and watch them again. But to get yourself ready for it. But I just say enjoy it.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's what we think of what we're going to expect in this. Let us down below in the comments. Also, if you like this sort of chats, this is something we did try this before over a year ago with wrestling, but it kind of went a bit funny. But now we got better. Well, I've definitely got a better setup now.
Let's just say it went like the current WWE Raw storylines. Very wrong.
Oh, we could do a whole episode on that. We could probably do that another time. It's probably going to carry on for a while, to be fair.
Yay!
Oh god, I've not watched Raw in a hot minute. Thank goodness for Wrestle Talk, Cultaholic, because I don't have to watch it. SmackDown, on the other hand, great stuff.
Oh, there we go. Yes, just as long as we don't have WWE voices doing guest stars. I mean, but to bring it back to Masters of the Universe, they did do a WWE Masters of the Universe figures crossover.
Yeah, they did. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Just to keep it on top of there. But oh my god.
It will happen. It will happen.
Oh, don't do that. Don't suddenly have someone like, I don't know, John Cena do a guest voice on Masters of the Universe. I'll cry. Nah, he could come up and do the PSA. That would be funny.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yes, let us know what you think. If you want us to do more of these, but like I said, different things, let us know. Stuart, where can they find you if they want to chat to you?
They can find me on YouTube. You can search for Stuart Claw on YouTube, and there's pretty much my channel is on there. And I'm trying to find these. Tell I don't do these very often, can't you? Because I haven't even got my channel name.
Don't worry, it takes a while.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Just search Stuart Claw on YouTube, and also there's MYM Buzz, the channel I currently manage as well. So find me on either of those. And one thing, don't mind me quickly hijacking it. Tell us in the comments below what your favourite PSAs were from He-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously, I'm very curious to read those. And you can also find me at Stuart Claw on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And on Instagram, if you like food pics, that's pretty much what I put on there.
Nothing wrong with that. You know, lots of people do it. So to be fair, so yes, thank you so much. Thank you again, Stuart, for joining me. So yes, hope you enjoy. Like I said, let us know below your favorite PSAs, favorite episodes, what you're looking forward to in general. I keep on looking over there. I should be looking at the camera right in front of me, but the light is killing me with the brightness. So yes, thank you all so much for watching. Click on the bell below so you know when I upload new videos. Leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I shall chat to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.